Hello and welcome again to another episode of Bourbon with Friends. Today we have a very special guest with us. He's had 3 #1 hit singles on the country music charts, and JC's just going to start singing probably all of them. It's Kiss You in the Morning, Think a Little Less, and One That Got Away. But his new single that is just out, Whiskey in the Rain, is actually why he's really here, and probably, you know, what's better than singing about whiskey. Mr. Michael Ray, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How y'all doing?
We are doing phenomenal because we have 3 bottles of whiskey in front of us and probably a good time also. So
what better way to cap off a Monday?
Dude,
Just sit here and drinking.
Two things. I've done quite a few podcasts. You are the first ones that sent me bottles of whiskey to my house in order to do the podcast. So I was like, hell yeah. And then this is a Monday. So this might go down as the best week ever.
Well, if you start the Monday out with whiskey, it's guaranteed. It's like science.
It's been tested.
Read a book.
and if it doesn't work, Tuesday starts with whiskey and you try again.
You got another rule. By the time you get to Friday, screw it, it's a damn weekend. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you celebrate with whiskey.
And if you want to switch it up and really get crazy, do Death Wish coffee with bourbon cream.
Ooh. Beautiful.
That's how we start a lot lot of our cookouts. It's dangerous. We just had one of those last week. It was his birthday on Saturday.
Yep.
So
Derby and birthday.
It was last Saturday.
Saturday the 1st.
The first Derby day.
Nice, man. Mine was the 29th. We're close.
Yeah, real close.
Except you're probably like 20 years older than him, but
20. I was gonna say like 30, 40. Okay.
So like it was really interesting timing, right? You released your new single, which is awesome. We've listened to it 100. It's really funny because he's really bad with names, right? So I knew who you were. He knew who you were. Yeah. We had to send him your music, and then once he finally heard, like, he's like, "Oh, I know that guy. I've heard like everything."
I've been sitting here humming it like all day.
Don't worry, we had Neil Gerardo. It's Gerardo, right? Yeah. Gerardo, whatever.
Gerardo.
I won 5 Grammys. He's Pat Benatar's.
Yeah.
You probably know he is. And I don't think he knew he didn't know who he was either until he like gets on the podcast and he's like, "Oh shit, that's who's coming on."
Oh, shit, you're the guy. Oh shit.
I'm a big music fan, but I'm horrible with names and song names.
Well, hey, I will say in his defense, you know, normally radio and especially when radio was like the #1 source of how people got their music. They would always they'd introduce, hey, coming up next, we got Clint Black with Killing Time. And that was Clint Black with his new song.
Right.
Well, the busier stuff got, the more ads, you know, they had to cut a lot of that out. So, and now we have streaming services. So radio's not the main source where people are getting all their music from. So because of that, I think a lot of people, they know the songs more than they know. I mean, hell, it happens to us. People have a record deal in Nashville or somewhere. And I'll be like, man, what's that dude's name? He sings that. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I didn't know that was him. So, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, we did it. So we could have probably sold tickets to like 5 people just to come say hi. We had actually, like, our friends were begging us, like, "Hey, can we like just say hi to him?" We're like, "No, this is our podcast. Go get your own." So, but yeah, we're really excited to have you. Especially with, like, you know, whiskey and country are probably the most synonymous thing.
It's
and we drink whiskey and listen to country music so much.
I was born out in Eastern Kentucky, and
with a bottle in his hand.
Then it's Kentucky, and then there's whiskey everywhere.
It's just been your blood since birth. You had no choice.
Yeah.
So give us, before we start trying some whiskey and talking about it, give us a little bit of like your whiskey journey and kind of the foundations of the song, the single that you just released, you know, and let people know kind of how all that came about.
Yeah, you know, I've always been a fan of whiskey, bourbon, and honestly, I think a lot of times you got to have somebody introduce you to it, because I liked it, but I didn't know what I liked, and I didn't know why I didn't like this one and why I liked that one.
Right.
And actually, at the time, he now works for the Opry, the Grand Ole Opry, but he was head of my radio team when I first signed to Warner Brothers, and had a big hand in getting my career running and into radio, and had a big belief in me at the label, and was really in my corner. And so they started a new radio imprint at Warner, and he was the head of it, and he asked if I would be his first artist. And so I was at his house. His name's Jordan Pettit, and he is a bourbon aficionado. This dude his house looks like y'all's background right there. I mean, and so he's always talking about bourbon, and I was like, dude, I don't know enough about it at the time. Like, I know I like this, but I don't know anything about it. I want to learn. I want to be that guy at the bar that, like, I just feel like that dude's like the smart guy. You know what I mean? If the dude knows a lot about bourbon, probably got his shit together, right? And I'm like, I need to fool some people. So I told him, I said, man, what is all this? And he sat down, and I think that Thanksgiving, we ended up probably standing there at his bar for 2.5 hours, just like, he's like, okay, now sip this, now do this, and you're going to feel this slight burn. It's going to open up your, I mean, he was giving me the whole
Yep.
And ever since then, dude, I've been hooked, man, and been try to collect when I can and just learn more about it. And always just been a big fan of it. I think a lot like bourbon, what goes into it is a lot of years of work, a lot of years of wait. And it's very similar to what we do when we're trying to get a record deal or put a song out. You put your whole heart and everything into this. They put their whole heart and their family and their heritage and everything that they want you to feel when you finally open that bottle and take that first sip. They put it all in that barrel, and then they sit, and they have to wait, and they do their thing, and they grow it until it finally becomes what it is. And it's a lot like our careers in country music. So I think whiskey and country music go hand in hand because it's all about passion. It's all about family. It's about culture and heritage. And for me, when Whiskey and Rain came across our desk, it was about that, sometimes you go through shit in life, man, and you just got to pour a little glass of whiskey, dude, let the rain fall, get through it, wake up tomorrow and know that God gave you another 24 to make better than the last, and just take it head on and go through it. And I loved, I'm a big fan of traditional country music. And so this song really embodied everything that the direction that we're going towards on this album. It also embodied everything that I've been wanting to do since I moved to Nashville, and what made me want to pick up a guitar in the first place. I grew up on Bakersfield type country, and Gary Allen was a big influence in me. And
your grandfather played, right?
My grandfather played. Yeah, he had my family band, and so everything with this song just kind of embodied all of that. Just made me feel like it had some good lyrics to it, some great lyrics to it, and it has some meat to it. But it's kind of this cool 2-step thing, man, where you want to go ask the girl on the dance floor.
Yeah. So you're originally from Florida, right?
Yeah, Eustis, Florida, Central.
All right. So we have to just
he just wants to take a moment that someone else is from Florida.
I'm also a Floridian.
No way. Where are you from?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
So you're probably a Gator though.
I am. Yeah.
See, that's
I knew it. I was gonna say that. Y'all stop about Fort Lauderdale though.
No. You can't contain swag.
Yeah, you can.
It just goes. It's I've actually been to Gainesville one time, and it was probably the hottest day on earth that day. It's just swamp, but it's
kind of the name of the state.
At least he stayed in SEC country, it could be worse.
True.
He could be living in like Ohio.
There's always that.
Well, then you'd have a lot of Wellers, so there is perks to that.
I was about to say, I'm a fan of Wellers, so.
Yeah, so
like a sweet.
I don't know. Can we tell everyone about the honey hole out there? So I mean, if you're in Ohio, it's the land of Weller.
Giant website.
There's a giant website. You can literally go see where all the Weller is in Ohio. It's like cheating. So, so give us kind of a little bit of kind of a background. Like, what would you remember? What your first whiskey was? Like the first drink you had, and like, what was your first impression of it?
Man, my first, I think, like anybody from the South, it was Jack Daniels. And I remember because I watched older people in my family drink beer, drink whiskey, or mixed drinks, and they all seem like they love the taste of it. I'm like, man, this shit must taste like apple juice. You know what I mean? This is the smoothest thing to ever hit your tongue. And so my buddy had a bottle of Jack Daniels, and we were probably in like middle school or something. We were upstairs, me, him. It was his name's Steven, and our buddy Josh. And we were upstairs at their house, and I mean, it wasn't even a sip, dude. It was a Dan style chug, bro. We were just like,
boy,
it was gonna taste like water.
Full commit.
Yeah. And I was like, dumped it, and then fought back the gagging and I guess we just downed it, and then
finish it.
And then fast forward, what's that?
He said, "Finish him."
Finish him.
It's like the bottle.
Like
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So so that was probably my first taste of any whiskey, and I remember going, God, man, why would anybody, just because we didn't know, we were just kids. And then about high school, I started learning a little bit of like why they have all these different, I don't know why. I've always been kind of an old soul, I guess, and so I love history. And like when I was learning history, you know, the Bourbon Trail and all that was just always seemed to pop up. And I was like, what is that? So I started kind of learning more about it then, and then really didn't get into, like I said, good bourbon until I started going on radio tour, and I met Jordan, and he introduced me to it.
So what's a more high-end whiskey that you've had that you really like?
Man, I really love Whistle Pig.
It's a rye. Okay.
A rye.
Now you're talking JC's language.
Yeah.
I really like that. And again, you know, what's been good about like going on tour is, you know, bourbon and country music, whiskey and country music, like we said, goes hand in hand. So, you know, a lot of times when we're backstage, you spend a lot of times when you're on tour with other bands and other artists, you know, hang out together. It's like your own world for those 3 or 4 days a week you're out. And so you start learning, yo, man, you like this too. So, you know, I think that, I've always really enjoyed that. Four Roses, which we have here, always have loved that. Angel's Envy. Trying to think of.
Try the rye.
The Angel's Envy rye is delicious.
I've not had that yet.
Try it. Tastes like gingerbread cookies.
I fucking love gingerbread cookies.
You're going to love this. And it's like a $90 bottle, but it's not that hard to find. It's released. Well, so which one of these have you not had?
I don't think I've had Russell's.
Okay. Yeah. But have you had the Double Oak? And
I've had the Double Oak, and I've had the Four Roses small batch.
This is the select. It's a different small batch. Same bottle, same everything, darker label.
Non-chill filter, higher proof.
I've had these two. The Russell.
All right, let's start with the Four Roses then.
All right.
So, because this one's going to be probably the sweeter of the bunch. So we'll start here. This was my first Four Roses that I actually ever had.
Thanks, Paul.
I love Four Roses, so.
He poured it on my hand.
And JC's not allowed to pour drinks, by the way.
Yeah, I've been banned from pouring any drinks.
JC has his own title. It's called a JC pour. And
hey, man, we all got to be known for something.
If you're trying to do a podcast, you don't want JC pours.
Yeah. Sitting on the back porch is great, but.
Hey, come out on the bus. We allow JC pours on the tour bus.
I'm there. I'll bring a bottle. Floral flower.
So on this, like, what are you getting from like a flavor profile?
There's a little sweet kick in the back to it.
There you go.
Yep.
Once you
getting spices. I'm stealing this from Jackie, by the way.
Yeah.
We learned a new way to do this.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to see what that is, but I feel that spice as you first swallow.
Okay.
So do you get any like floral notes?
Yeah, on that back end.
It's kind of like a honeysuckle almost.
Yes. Yeah.
See, sucking on. No, sorry.
It's one of those things we always talk about. It's what you get out of a flavor is what you grew up with and what you're used to.
Yeah.
Because some of these things you can say, like, I forgot what we were drinking. I think it was one of the E.H. Taylors or something. But I was like, it was like walking in a tobacco barn and taking a deep breath. But like, if you've never done that, you have no idea what that's like. So it's always fun seeing other people's notes and what they get out of it.
I really feel that floral taste on the back end.
Yep.
This is a non-chill filter, so it's going to be more. It's going to coat your mouth more than some other whiskeys that you've had because they let the oils come through when they do a non-chill filter. So it's kind of lingers a little more. You get more taste out of it.
You get that with that non-chill filter. You get that full mouth flavor.
Yeah. Like if you taste some that are real thin and like watery almost, they're usually chill filtered.
Not a bad thing though.
No.
Yeah. Some things it's great with.
All right.
So what do you think about this one?
I love this. I'll drink this.
I'm good.
He's like I'm set. We got two more to try. No.
He's like, guys, I found the winner on the first one.
I'll be honest,
we're good.
I'm not a huge I've never been like a massive Four Roses fan. I love this one. Like I'll sit around and just drink this.
I want to say it has a little bit of a sweeter that sweeter taste. That's not in all the Four Roses.
Correct.
Right. No.
Okay, because I'm like I've never had that this flavor from a Four.
This one is an arrangement of is it 6 of the 12 mash bills they have?
I think that's
So it's 6 of the 12 mash bills I have put blended together. So you get it different than some of the single barrels, which will just be one mash bill.
And I think is it 12 or 10?
10, isn't it?
That they have. I don't.
Yeah. I'm drawing blank now. I thought it was
I
12.
think it's 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah,
It's
no
fine.
big deal.
I don't know. We don't know everything.
Fact check.
I always found the one thing we don't know.
Yeah. Well, keep digging. You will find lots more. So an interesting thing, and we tell everybody this, especially like if you're trying to, like if you want to really start expanding your palate, another thing is finish a bottle or a glass that you have, let it sit out overnight and then smell it. Oh, the alcohol goes away. Or finish the bottle is fine. Just
Yeah, if you leave just a very little bit in the bottom of the cup overnight, especially with non-chill filter stuff, the next day you pick up so much more flavor because all the alcohol's evaporated out.
I'm going to try that tonight.
You get a lot of nose notes on it that you don't pick up normally. So,
But if people start yelling at me for drinking in the morning, I'm going to tell them, listen, this is an experiment. My boys told me to do it.
just put on a white coat and say it was an official test. You're good. It's the science of
Get
that
you a
point.
clipboard.
Goggles on.
Get you a clipboard and just be like standing there like, what are you doing? Don't worry
hey,
about
it's
it.
2021. No one would even question. They'd be
No,
like,
no,
oh, he's just
yeah.
freaked out of COVID. Look at that.
Yeah.
Coffee, you're out. Bourbon, suit up.
AJ's on a roll tonight.
Yeah.
Look at this. All right, so let's try this one. This is JC's favorite and what you haven't had. I'm pouring it. Do not grab for the glass, JC. Ready for this? Oh,
They never let me pour.
Ooh.
you can talk about it though.
What a beautiful sound.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
like one of our signature. We try to have it right up on the mic every time. Get that cork pop.
All right, so this next one's gonna be a Russell's Reserve, the 10-year. Oh, it's so delicious. Eddie Russell, Jimmy Russell, they kind of did a spin-off of their own distillery from Wild Turkey. It's 90 proof, so it's not that strong. The last one you had was stronger.
Okay.
But
But
the
it's-
last one was a little sweeter, I think.
Yeah, this is gonna have more spice. This could be a rye heavy whiskey because they use their second grain as a rye. They're a little heavier on that one. And it's going to have some more spice to it, but it is aged 10 years, so it's going to be more mellow.
You're going to get a lot of corn on this one.
And it's a great value for being a 10-year-old. You know, I mean,
For a 10-year-old whiskey, it's like $30.
$36.
Bad
Yeah.
at all, man.
Not
Yeah.
at all. You're going to get tons of corn.
Going to hit the back of the throat and burn a little bit.
Yep.
That's just your soul healing. Don't worry.
yeah.
The exercise of demons.
Yeah.
the good old Kentucky hug.
From the
Yep.
inside. Yo, I actually, this is what I love. I love to grill and like, I have a Traeger and, just love being out there and like just, I don't know, I guess maybe growing up in the South and seeing my dad and his buddies and that's what they all did. Like as you get older, you kind of want to do what they do. And this is exactly what I would go to grilling and smoking a cigar, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is definitely good.
This
with
is
cigar.
definitely a cigar one because
Yeah.
this would not be as good of a cigar smoking whiskey because it's too sweet and
Yeah.
you get competing flavors. This one is
This one's a
perfect.
little more bold, a little more
Right.
spice, so the cigar doesn't
little more of a-
overpower it.
Punch to it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so non-risky related question. What's your cigar? What's your go-to cigar?
I got this Monte Cristo here. Y'all seen these cups?
Yes. Yes, we have. He got some for
I
his
got one
birthday.
some for my birthday.
Did you? Hell
Yeah.
yeah, man. Hell yeah. Check this out.
I already love it. He's like us. He's like, check.
Oh my God.
Got
Yes.
Go.
He didn't even have to use it.
What is in there?
I think I just have this is just Gentleman Jack right now.
Actually, the Gentleman Jack's.
Really good.
You won't hear me say much about Jack Daniels,
Yeah.
but the Gentleman Jack is.
It's
really
actually,
good.
yeah, I dig it. I had I got the Frank Sinatra blend somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That's delicious.
That's the
That's
original recipe, and it's the higher proof.
It's killer, man. I love that. But
yeah, it's about $130 a bottle.
By the way, this isn't a background, right? This is an actual room.
This is just a room in the house.
oh, I know.
Okay.
All right,
Well, you
I
said
knew you boys
background.
ain't faking. I knew you boys.
You said background. I was like, I need to make sure JC. No, because I would have known JC like 20 minutes after this, you'd be like, that son of a bitch thought this was a background and not a room.
It's not fake.
All of a sudden, I get a knock on my door tomorrow morning. Hey, you son of a bitch! It's the
Hey, I'm hitting you with all the whiskey bottles.
yeah.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Can I come on the Honky Talk Tuesday show tomorrow?
Come on anytime. We're figuring out now how we're gonna be doing it. Kind of that whole thing popped off as a kind of boredom during quarantine, and wanted to get back to I miss concerts, and I grew up in an era, became good friends with a lot of my heroes of the 90s and early 2000s. And so I wanted to not only do something for the fans to hopefully get them out of all the bullshit everybody was going through and the fear and anxiety and what's coming next. And, because it was at the beginning of quarantine where nobody knew what the heck was going on. So I was like, man, what can we do? And honestly, I was like, I'm playing like Think a Little Less 18,000 times a day. I'm like, so people gotta be tired of hearing this by now. Every Instagram live, every Facebook live, we're playing it. And so I thought, what if we did something fun? I could bring, some of my buddies, and it'd be a way for me to introduce maybe some country artists that I grew up with that I love and respect to a generation that might not know who they are.
Yeah.
Because just like bourbon, just like country music, if we don't teach a generation of the past and what it was and how we got here, that gets forgotten. Those stories die when those artists go, and if we don't show them that love and respect and continue their stories, and hopefully have some, 20-year-old kid that goes, man, I didn't know Dina Carter. I had Dina Carter on one time. I didn't know Dina Carter also wrote You and Tequila for Kenny Chesney.
Right. Yeah.
And then all the other stuff that goes down. And then they go in and then they go and discover more than just Strawberry Wine. They hear her whole back catalog, and boom, now there's a 20-year-old that can keep spreading that word and keep that genre or that generation of music going, throughout the next.
Very relatable to whiskey.
Yeah. I go ahead.
I was saying that's like when the 80s, when whiskey was dying out, it's like because people were switching over to the clear liquors and stuff. And it took like an old tradition to bring it back. And it's like, all right, this is what whiskey is. It's the basics of whiskey. It's just, it's basic. It's fundamental. It's your parents, it's your grandparents, it's your kids, it's everything. Like, not my kids, it's a bad thing, but don't drink. But it's the whole tradition thing, like you're saying. People are introducing stuff that they never seen because the media is covering this new age stuff and flavored this and flavored that and try this and try that, when literally just grabbing a cigar and a bottle of whiskey on the back porch watching it rain is one of the most relaxing things you'll ever do.
We did that.
It's way better. It's way cheaper than a shrink. I'll tell you
that. Yes. Walk it off. That's the best theory ever.
I'm pretty sure if a shrink ever came and talked to us, there would be many problems.
That
with
shrink would find 3 shrinks to help. That'd be.
That shrink would end up on a back.
I think you have a problem with bourbon. Why? Because you have a glass.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. We would be like, listen, we'll have a conversation over this bottle of whiskey, and after another bottle of whiskey later, we'd be listening to them crying, talking to us. This is so hard. I have to write down so many notes. I color so much.
You don't understand how many times I just do doodles.
I keep so much in.
I don't care what they say to me.
It's really cool that his show and our show kind of started the same way.
Yeah.
COVID. We're
in June, right?
Yeah, June of last year. And it really spurred. We actually, it's funny. We didn't know what day it kind of all started because it was in May when it really kind of popped off. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know until Facebook told us yesterday. It's like, here's a memory, and we're like, oh shit, that was the night. That was the night we found out. Do not drink scotch and whiskey and bourbon together, because you will wake up the next day and the next day after that wishing you weren't born.
Oh. Bad combination, huh? Bad recipe.
A whole bottle of scotch and a whole bottle of bourbon does not mix.
I can drink bourbon. Scotch just gives me a bad, I just don't feel good the next day.
Yeah.
We guess it's a peat. That's all we can figure. But I can sit and drink bourbon and wake up at 7 a.m. ready to go. No issue.
So before we try this next one, how do you think the last year's really kind of affected you and your outlook and your career and just kind of in general? Because we actually don't talk about that ever. And so, because we have some similarities in what started out of COVID, give us just kind of how you think that's affected you and everything like that.
Yeah, I think the obvious, everybody's industry got rocked really hard. The entertainment industry got rocked extremely hard on a lot of levels, and the ripple effect goes way more further than people think. When that show gets canceled, when that those arena dates, those club dates, those bar dates, whatever it
Right.
is, canceled. There's a guy that's counting on selling hot dogs to feed his family that day, and counting on you to show up and be the best you can be, so he can do his job and get home to his family, and provide. So whenever that rug gap pulls out, it's not just the entertainment family of who you see on the buses and the trailers and the TV networks and radio. It's not only just the venue owners, it's all the way down to the dude cleaning it at night, and so that obviously rocked everybody really bad. And man, it was weird. I was in Connecticut. We knew I was watching just Chesney pull Eric Church, Taylor Swift, then the MLB, and then so I start texting some buddies of mine in the sports world and just trying to hear what they're saying, and everybody thought 14 days, So we play the show.
We're on day 700 of 15 days to curve.
Yeah. This is the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Yes. Amen, brother.
Yeah. So anyway, we fly out thinking it's just gonna be 14 days, and then shows start canceling and keep canceling. And so for the first part of it, I think we were so busy because we were doing Instagram lives, Facebook lives, a lot of different things, that it didn't really hit me too hard until those kind of started leveling out,
Right.
and of course I went through some personal stuff, during that time as well. But dude, I'll be honest with you, man. I think when you got a personal bullshit going on, and then everything in your career just gets stopped, you have no other place to go as a man than to your roots and build up.
Yep,
and that's the only thing you can do. You can either sit there and sulk in it and let it kick your ass, which I ain't gonna lie, I'm a human being, and I did, and I'm sure it hits still. I know it still hits once in a while, but then it was like, wait a minute, nah, we ain't doing this. You know what I mean? Like, how can I grow something from here? How can I make this? And so, man, I hunted more than I ever had in the last 5 years, dude. I fished. I feel great, and was able to learn more on who I am while making this album, which is the reason why this album is going to be the way that it is, and the songs are the way it is. And we're already hearing from radio our friends and Spotify friends and Apple Music friends and other streaming services that, man, this is really next level stuff. And I really think once when you're looking at that wall, you gotta go, all right, dude, I come from a family of fighters, so I'm like, all right, that's what we gotta do. We just gotta fight through this and get through it and cut the fat, cut the bullshit, and go on, And so for me, I think it helped me get back in touch with myself. When you're doing what we do, and you're gone a lot and you're constantly going and kind of have to be on all the time, I think it's easy to lose that part of yourself, in the mix of all the hustle and the bustle and everybody trying to, put their highlight reels on social media all the time and act like everything's great, So
Yep. I
feel like kind of not having to do that kind of silenced everything and made me realize, who I am and where I want to go with this. And I think, made me write some of the best songs I've ever written. And I think that's across the board for every artist. I think we're about to get punched in the face with some real good shit, man.
I was actually going to say that, like, this next year and the music that's going to come out, I think across the board, especially from country music, especially country music. Like, look, I like all music. I'm sure you like all music. We all have an appreciation for it, right? I mean, we were laughing about Ludacris earlier in the show, or before we actually started. Like, you have an appreciation and affinity, and when you have like 7 drinks in, there's always that go-to song where you're just like, if I hear this, shit's going down, right? But like from a feeling it in your heart and soul, I think from a country music standpoint, we're gonna hear so much stuff because you're right. You guys have had a chance to do something that is rare. I mean, to actually kind of get in touch with yourself, to sit with your thoughts, to not have to be going in a million different directions,
and find a way to connect with your fans more, and not
stay
relevant in a hard time where it's hard to get out and do what you used to. You can't tour and have everybody show up. You can't do this, have people show up. So you have to find a new ways.
But look at him. He's relevant. Like, come on.
I know. I'm just saying.
But
we like 7 of our friends were better friends with us in the last 2 weeks because they heard he was coming on the show. Like, we're not going to hear from them for the next 6 months.
But is this new project? Is this the one you're working on with Ross Copperman? They kind of bring that old school country you were talking about back?
Yeah, man. I was, again, in the middle of quarantine, I was down in Florida a lot, man, and spending time with family that normally I only see around holidays because we're, in and out and busting in, busting out and having to go. And like what you were saying, man, when getting, reconnect with fans. I think one of the coolest things that for all of us is for the first time, everybody stopped, and really had to self-reflect. And I think that any artists that might have started feeling disconnected from fans, or maybe disconnected from themselves, I think it was a good opportunity. I was one of them for feeling disconnected to myself for a while, that it allowed you to reconnect with yourself, which then reconnects with your fans, because everybody is now on the same even playing field as far as I do. We're all literally in the same boat. Like, we can't do shit. We can't do what we, want to do as far as like making a living, going out and doing things that keep your psyche sane, dude. Like, nobody's talking about any of this stuff. Everybody's COVID. Mental health has gone so far through the roof. Suicides are bigger than they've ever been, man. Let's talk about that forever side effects of this stuff,
Yeah.
And so
long time side effects we haven't seen.
I have a
yet.
17-month-old son that's never been out and not seen people not in masks.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that stuff, man, that you can't tell me that stuff doesn't have a long lasting effect on people. And it is something that worries me. But anyway, to go back to Ross, in the middle of this whole time period and being at home, I was like, I want to take that sound that I grew up on. And what if we took that, and what if those songs came out today? Like, what if that, what if Stranger in This House came out today? What if he's and so Ross is one of the best songwriters in town. I mean, and producers. I mean, the dude's had, I think he just celebrated his 19th number one or 20th number one as a songwriter.
Crazy.
One time last year, I was writing with him, and he had the number one, the number three, and the number four song all at the same time. I did not buy lunch that day. I was like, nah, man, I kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, but he's one of the best, man. But he's such a great writer, and he's such a great. Oh, he's an artist in his own right. And I knew that we didn't grow up on a lot of the same music, and he's a little bit older than me, but I knew that I grew up on music that was way before my time, thanks to my grandpa, my dad, and their band. And he grew up on a little bit of everything, but he was more influenced by the Eagles and, Allman Brothers and so on. So I thought, man, if I can get somebody like him that has his finger on it right now, the current,
and
I can bring these ideas to him, and I really think we could make something really cool here. And so that was why I went with Ross on this album. I've known Ross for a long time. We used to actually, when he was an artist in Europe, and I was still living in Florida, coming back and forth, we stayed at a buddy of ours' house named Johnny Tumanello was the guy's name.
What a name.
And him and my buddy Jeff Hurst, who's a songwriter down home, he was the guy that he did introduce me to my first group of people up here in Nashville. So Ross was staying with Johnny. We were all staying with Johnny at the same time, but, all trying to make things happen here in Nashville. And so it's kind of a big full circle moment. About 10 years later, 12 years later, we're, finally working together for the first time. So
that's pretty cool.
That's
good deal.
And I have to say, like, you have a voice that can bring that older country music to life in like that modern way that makes it pop. It's really amazing, honestly. Like, you have that talent to make that happen. So, and that's something that from us, I mean, we're old, we're not like 20 years old. So, some of the new stuff that we hear is good, but it's not like what you grew up with, kind of like what you're saying. So to kind of see that come full circle is really cool for us. And you really, really have that talent to be able to bring that, back to 2021 and beyond. So kudos to you on that.
Thanks, man. It's all my grandfather, dude, was, when he got out of the Army, he was putting guitars and instruments just in everybody in my family's hands, right? And he was an unbelievable guitar player. I actually have his Gibson 335 that he played for 50, 60 years. He wrote the finish off. It's in one of my rooms back here. He played every weekend he's the one that started our family's band with my dad, my uncle, and my cousins in it, called the Country Cousins. They went real deep on. I always joke with my.
That sounds like a Kentucky band. I'm sorry.
Hang on.
You had to count.
Yeah, I was like, I've tried to find merch. I'm like, maybe I'll make some of my own or something. But they toured band all over Florida, dude. And I mean, my grandfather was a great lead guitar player. And then as my dad's generation of the family that were in the band, him, my uncle, and my cousins, they started getting older and were, having kids, and they always had jobs, but they were booked quite a bit. The band kind of fizzled out, but my grandfather still played 4 nights a week, 3 nights a week, also while being a cable splicer, a telephone installation and repair guy. So he was working 5-6 days a week and playing shows for free. he played anywhere.
He just loved it.
Pure love.
Loved it, man. The passion for it. And so we always joke as us grandkids that he was just process of elimination. Was like my oldest sister Ryan, you know, she was born first. She's the first grandchild, and I can just see my grandpa trying to give her a guitar, and he's like, that didn't stick. Okay, you know.
He's like,
my second sister, he's like, not that didn't stick, you know. And then here I come. At the time, I was the only grandson. There's more now, but I was the first one. So I think he was like, come with me, you know. And
you're mine.
You're mine. Yeah. And so
get over here. I'm sorry.
yeah, he really come here, you little bit. Yeah, he you know started. My parents got divorced when I was 8, and he started showing me my first chords when I was in North Carolina on a vacation with him and some other family members. And my dad, you know, he still played, so he would show me some, and then it just became this. Just I mean, I guess like a drug. I don't know. Like it was just my grandfather was playing all the time, and I wanted to learn enough songs to play in his band. Right. So get up there and play a song. So, you know, I learned, you know, I was growing up, my first song that I ever learned that I could sing out was this old bluegrass song called Dooley. And then I learned Today I Started Loving You Again by Merle Haggard, and Lady Down on Love, from Alabama, and Branded Man, Merle Haggard. And I was learning all these Haggard songs, and because of him and my dad and all of my whole family just loving that style of country music, whenever I got my record deal and a lot of the different, you know, ways were popping off, you know, however you want to call it, dude, I was like, shit, I don't know really how to sing. I don't know how to do that stuff. You know, like, I don't know how to do this. And it was just a different time frame. But, you know, I think that era opened the door for so many of us, you know, because it was a big crossover of country music, which in return helps people, you know, discover who the hell Michael Ray is or whoever else is, you know, as they're going through country. So I appreciate you saying that, man, because I think the big compliment goes to my grandpa, because he was the one that was, you know, playing those old records. My dad was playing the old Haggard records in the truck, and it was just surrounded by those old storyteller singers, you know.
Yeah,
family makes it better, man.
The
That's all I
lyrics
can
and
say.
songwriting, I mean, it feels like that got lost, but the old music definitely had the songwriting and the lyrics down.
Yeah.
So I love listening to the old stuff.
Oh man, me too.
So
Let's try this other whiskey. We think this is one of my 3 favorites, by the way.
Look, I didn't even open. I waited for you.
We did too. You like that? We got 3 fresh ones. We cheated. We have like 10 of these, but it's fine.
I know. If you look behind me, I've got 2
If you're ever in Lexington, Kentucky, we can offer you a buffet.
Dude, y'all ain't far from us, Nashville, man. I'll come up.
Come on.
We'll do a cookout.
You might have to like hide your phone by about like 9:30, but that's fine.
That's fine.
We have to do the same. Probably should not go live on Instagram right now. So I'm going to take the lead on this one. This is one of my favorites. I get so much just chocolate caramel flavor in this. It is so good.
yeah.
I am a double barreled person. Like that's my thing. I'm the double oak. He's rye. He's barrel proof.
Just pulled a rookie move.
What'd you do?
I didn't open my mouth.
Oh, you rookie.
Oh.
I blew my nose out. God, dang it.
There's so many jokes in what he just said.
Yeah, one of the tricks is like whenever
I've been quiet on some of the jokes. Don't start.
but what he was talking about, like whenever you're smelling it, if you open your mouth when you smell it, like you get more of the notes and everything.
Well, I'm sure he knows that.
Yeah. I was just making sure people listening didn't get
So
the joke.
much chocolate.
So much.
I don't know why it tastes
It's like a chocolate caramel brownie.
This is like
Oh
it's like
yeah.
a bourbon ball in a glass.
You could just see him taking that breath in, and it was longer than all the other ones, just because you're just like, God damn, that's sweet.
Dude, you ain't kidding.
It looked like his glass went up a second time, like he was drinking, and he was like, "Oh, more."
I'm gonna nose the hell out of this.
Never mind.
That's gonna need a cigarette tomorrow. No,
Yeah. Like the nose on this is just unreal. You almost want to drink it through your nose. It smells so good.
dude, that chocolate taste is spot on.
Yeah.
And this is why we like doing this with other people, because you find different notes that maybe you like. It could be like, I've had this before, and then you have it, and you're like, holy shit! It's just like Van Winkle 12. I thought it tasted like cherry Coke. And none of these guys had tasted that before. And they're like, oh my God, this actually tastes like cherry Coke now. This is crazy.
I think what you were saying too is right, man. It's all about like your experiences in life. You know, like I wasn't, you know, my family's not, you know, tobacco farmers. So like you said, you walk into a place and that whatever smell triggers that in your head, and that's where you go. I know what tobacco smells like, but it takes maybe somebody going that you get that tobacco, you know, smell, and you're like, oh shit, that's it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Like I love rye so much. I was drinking rye. There was a flavor note in it. I was like, I can't pick out what that flavor is. I know what that flavor is every time I drink rye, and it's what I like most about it. But it's like I can't tell you what it is. And then it was Mets, right?
Yeah.
We were on with the podcast with Greg Max. He's like, oh, you mean clove? I'm like, oh my God, that's what it is. And
you know, that's
so
what I
like,
love about bourbon, man. It's like, you know, there's so much, everybody has something different. Again, you know, it's like songs. It's like, you know, bourbon, you can have the same bourbon and 5 people drink it and they're going to taste a little bit different. You know, everybody's palate's a little different. Songs the same way. You know, you could have the same song and 5 people, it hits different because emotions are different. What people's gone through in their lives are different. And I just love it. I love ever since that Thanksgiving, man, when Jordan was started teaching me, man, I've been such a big fan of learning.
So how long have you been into whiskey?
Probably 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he beats me by
beats you.
several years.
But now hang on, I will say there's probably like really wanting, like really into it, like learning, probably 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I loved it then, but I still didn't really know. You know what I mean? Like I'd go out and like want to look cool and be like, yeah, give me, you know, what's
Yeah.
cool
No, I
bottle
get
over
that.
there.
put the whiskey in the cup.
I was definitely there at one point.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite like tour that you've been on so far?
Oh man, dude, I've been so fortunate not to have any like bad experiences on any tour. We toured with Sam Hunt for the Lipstick Graffiti tour, Kip Moore, Chase Rice. My first big tour was my probably Brantley Gilbert and then Darius Rucker. Those 2 tours are probably my 2 favorites.
Oh, what are you gonna say? Go for it.
I was gonna make a hootie joke.
Oh, you had a hootie joke.
Better not.
Man, I think both those, man, because one, I didn't know Darius beforehand. I mean, obviously knew who he was, but Brantley and I are buddies and consider Brantley like a brother. And being able to go out with your boy and the bands and just, you know, every night was just, it's just like, I don't know. I didn't go to college, but I'm guessing that's what, if redneck did fraternity, you know what I mean? I'm guessing that's probably what it was like.
You did the right thing. There's just a lot of debt.
I didn't.
I mean, it's a jam band. It's fun.
Hey,
It's not
Brantley's
work.
got like our one of our iconic songs that we listen to whenever we're getting rowdy. So
Yeah.
What's it?
Weekend.
Oh yeah, give it up for the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then you realize
We have like 4 iconic songs. You're like cracked into it, by the way. Like
Hey,
we have these little songs that we start singing.
You realize he said Sam Hunt too, right?
Yeah, I know. It's all of them are just it's like, oh, you know, all the people that are in our drinking list. That's fun.
And Darius Ruckers was high school for me over and over again. So.
Man, I tell you what, one thing from Darius that I learned so much from both those tours. You know, like I said, getting to know Darius through that tour, and we hung out every night, and I'd always try to like get some, you know, old Hootie and the Blowfish stories, or you know, I was always trying to. And it was me, Dan, and Shay, and Darius, and it was Darius taught all of us so much because, dude, he's done it, man. Like what he's done it on both sides. Very few artists, and it's him that he's authentically him, dude. Like I challenge anybody to challenge Darius Rucker to a traditional country music off. And he'll kick anybody's ass. Like the dude, and I've studied it my whole life. I love it. I love the history. I've read I love books, the whole deal. Like I'm very, very confident in my knowledge. And that dude knows, he's a passionate person about what he does. And if he puts his mind to it, the dude's one of the most badass dudes in whatever he does, you know, and happens to be cool as shit too. And would tell us, you know, he made that tour feel like it was ours as well. He made us feel like, I probably was good for like 300 tickets of those 15,000 at the time, you know, but he made like 5,000 of them, you know.
But it was probably a big adrenaline rush walking out in front of that many people.
Oh, dude, and getting to sing Hold My Hand with Darius Rucker every night, you know, like out with him, it was unbelievable. But man, the way that both him and Brantley kept the backstage like a family and like a, you know, everybody was just so relaxed backstage, and Darius would bring everybody to his bus before we go on. I mean, everybody. It could be 50 people back there at time, family, whoever, and everybody does a big shot before he goes on. And me and my band and crew, we still do that today. You know, like
Awesome.
we do little things from both tours. So I would have to say it's a tie between Darius and Brantley.
Passing on that family tradition.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Are you
I
thinking
guess
of more?
gonna sing all night long.
JC's like one of us. Did you just break a chord?
No.
Okay. I was just making sure.
I knocked it off the mic. I had it propped out my way.
So what is okay? So before we like finish up, what is your go-to whiskey drinking song?
All right, my go-to song. Period. This is not normal for any. Well, I mean, it's normal for all of us, but it's probably not the go-to for a lot of people. But I think people have been sleeping on Vidalia by Sammy Kershaw for years, and and for some reason that song just gets me going, man. And it's absolutely it's about a girl that's named after onions, but you know I don't know why it just gets me. So
she
like,
makes you cry.
Yeah. Hey, all right.
I was gonna say because he likes to grill out, and he's like, "I'm gonna put you in a pan, saute you in some butter, we're gonna slap you on a hamburger." I'm hungry. This is bullshit. I hate when that happens.
But you know, Whiskey Bent Held Bound. If we're going for whiskey, you know, with the songs with whiskey in it, Whiskey Bent Held Bound, Hank Jr. Never.
Well, that's you just can't go wrong with a little Hank.
It's one of those like classics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
You
there's
gotta-
100 songs that say a little Hank in it too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, you can't really go wrong with it. So
It's funny to start seeing how, like, you know, I had my first ever. You were one of my first concerts the other day, and it fucks with your head a little bit because I'm like, have I hit there yet? Like now, like people are
You're
moving.
gonna keep on
back.
getting more of those, man. You're gonna start getting more of those.
You keep
I was
popping
like-
out music like you're popping out. You're gonna get a lot of those, man. It's got to be, you know, real surreal for you. Like you've really in the last 2 years just really exploded, you know. And I can only imagine. Look, I will give you our bullshit from like we were nothing and now we're like one of the top 10, mostly top 5 whiskey podcasts in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're in the top 1% of downloads for half the year. You know, it's weird. And we're not nearly on where you're at, obviously. But
dude,
like it's that surreal experience. Like I'm sure you have that out of body, like who the F am I and why the F is this happening?
Bro, it's you know, the fact that all of us, you know, we all get to do something that we love and are passionate about. And when you can, you know, we can do that because we live in this country where men and women have fought and died for us to
Preach.
in the middle of a crazy ass world like last year and be able to create a podcast and then in less than a year do what you guys have done. You know what I mean? Like that, and I think like when you combine that all with the freedoms and the rights we've been given in a country where you can have you can be born with a silver spoon, you can be born in a trailer in Eustis, Florida. We all have you just got to make that happen. Find out what drives you and make it happen. And I think that that's so important, man. And when you get that and you get to see those accolades like that, you know, like with you guys in top 10, and, you know, when I play the Opry, it's like the Opry, I was watching VHSs with my grandpa. He was buying the 1995 box sets back in the day, bro. You know, and then like we and him would sit and watch them. My dad was teaching me the importance of the Opry. And then all of a sudden, I'm about to play it for the 59th time Friday.
Crazy,
you know what I mean?
isn't it?
Like, it's like, but the 59th time is just like that first time to me because you cannot let it get normal to you. You know what I mean? That if you don't have a what in the fuck moment every time you step on the Opry stage, then something's wrong. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. And they still have the circle there, right? That you walk on and you'd be like, Elvis has been here, Dolly's been here, they're all here.
Johnny Cash, everybody, man. It's like that circle came from the Ryman, the mother church,
The Ryman,
which is downtown Broadway, which is a church. If anybody's been downtown, they've seen it. And it's obviously a big staple for Nashville and obviously, of course, country music. But yeah, they took out that circle right there in the center where everybody stood. So on that piece of wood, when you go and you step into the new, you know, the Opry now, they still do shows at the Ryman. Normally, I believe it's during the fall, they'll do shows at the Ryman, which is even more surreal. It's like, it doesn't get better than the Opry. And then they're like, oh, but next week you're playing the Ryman. And you're just like, oh, yeah, there's photos of like Elvis standing right there on the back. You know, like they have all these old live photos.
And then you're all shook up. Hey.
I mean, the Ryman's not as well known, but it's still got its place in history. Like if you're a true fan, you understand what the Ryman is and the importance of
Totally, man. Yeah.
what that stage is.
Do you know who I would love to get on like drinking whiskey and telling stories together? Him and Terry Bradshaw
together. Oh God,
I'm in.
We could
the
maybe
two
make
of you
that
all
happen.
Together.
I'm in.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Make it happen. I'm in.
You all both
I
have
will
this-
literally send a text right now after this is done and see if. Have you had his whiskey yet?
I've not tried his whiskey. So look at this. God wants us to do this, or I would have had it by now. You know,
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you the other where his whiskey is actually is my hometown. It's only 2 hours away from Nashville. It's out in Western Kentucky.
Let's go.
What?
Owensboro.
Oh yeah.
It's right up the road.
Oh yeah, that's where he gets his whiskey from. No,
Yeah.
you got to try it. It's actually really good. The alcohol by volume rating is his passer rating for his career.
Yeah.
That-
He's got
Yeah,
little
he
things.
did a
hidden all
lot
in
of little things about it. Makes you like, okay.
I won't
okay.
spoil it. Listen to it. It's really funny,
Yeah.
but he does talk shit about someone with the initials of TB a little bit on there. So it's really fun. But he actually loves the guy. It's funny. He has an affinity, but it's really great. So this has been really fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Like,
Dude, thank y'all, man.
yeah, cheers. I got to pour another glass. Hold on.
Now we have to make an excuse to get to Nashville.
That's right. Hey, I'll come to Louisville too. Hey, that bus rolls through there quite a bit. So
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Do we
You
need an
guys-
excuse to go to Nashville?
We don't need
No,
an
we don't
excuse.
need
We
an
haven't been to
excuse.
Nashville in too long. We've been talking about it too much.
Yeah.
dude, y'all come on up, man. I'll show y'all around.
Sounds good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. Thank you
Cheers,
so
man.
much.
Thank y'all so much. Man.
Yeah. And remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world.